Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar Elm, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Travis Powers, co-owner and senior managing partner at Ascendant.LLC, a human capital and talent services firm. Since 2003, Travis has guided organizations through workforce transformation, executive placement, and culture design, leveraging deep expertise in DEIB and recruitment strategy. Travis also leads other ventures in logistics and serves in nonprofit leadership. Travis, welcome to Founders Future.
Wow, thank you. You make me feel old saying all those things. However, so true, but you make me feel old. Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a joy.
Wise. I prefer to use the word wise there. But I always like to start from the beginning. So take us on a trip down memory lane to before you started Ascendant.
Yeah.
What were you doing at the time? And then what was really the motivation behind starting the company?
Wow, great question. And it just sum that up to make it relative to our longer interview. I would say I was working in the capacity of building business for what was at that time a mid-tier offshore consulting firm. Prior to that, I started in finance in telecom.
Mm.
And so this is pre Y2K. For anyone that is not familiar, I'm aging myself there. Google, check out what Y2K was and what it was supposed to do to the world. Not nearly what AI has shown to be able to do. Anyway, in post Y2K, a lot of telecom got rolled into consultants. So consultancy entities were still many of the larger ones that still exist today, the Booz Allens, the what was Anderson Consulting, now Accenture, PMG Consulting came out of that. So these larger consulting firms were really the driver for all things data and all things tech in larger enterprise organizations. And so my job, I was a market leader. So that meant everything from identifying true opportunities that would fit in our pipeline, primarily those in app development, enterprise app development that would have been welcome to the idea of some of the development, if not a majority of the development happening offshore. So yeah, I was a part of the first wave of people offshoring work
Yeah.
and ultimately creating financial modelings to support that to show sustainable proof of not just the applications that they were looking to integrate, but the sustainability of the financial wherewithal of those new environments once they were developed. And so my job was pretty holistic in terms of everything from the acquisition of those opportunities and identifying them, and then supporting our tech teams all the way through the actual development cycles, full life development cycles. That's where I was prior to Ascendant. And in that role, I met my business partner that
Okay.
co-founded Ascendant with me at a barbershop. My former barber, was really good about making introductions. And
Nice.
several years in a row, he tried to introduce me to people, and they just really weren't really in line with what I did, but it was okay. They were all good people and whatever. This was the one time that he made an introduction and he got it right. And his name is James Whitelow. James was working as a branch manager at that time on the talent fulfillment side,
Okay.
so the staffing and all of that good stuff. And so he had a unique perspective around staffing teams in enterprise organizations.
Okay.
And so we had a third member initially that just didn't work out for one reason or another. And James and I forged forward after a few conversations, finding out that we were both from the same rural part of America. It was really weird.
Mhm.
We knew some of the same people,
Wow.
and we just decided, hey, let's try to do this
Yeah.
and go from there. The bigger question you ask is, why did you do that? Why entrepreneurship? For me, when I went to school, I went to be a physician, believe it or not.
Wow.
Even then, and clearly I'm not a doctor anymore at all. Hey, shout out to those of my friends that went on and finished and did that. I see
Yeah.
you still. But anyway, what I would say is that my goal then was to own my own practice and have other professional services rendered under the same hood, umbrella, so forth and so on. So I always saw myself
Yeah.
doing something entrepreneurial, and my exposure grew the further I got away from home.
Powerful. What do you mean by the further you got away from home? Like you,
Meaning, so I come from this very rural area, central, southern part of Illinois, and it's in America's heartland, literally. And so as my exposure grew from college and university environments to being exposed to individuals in larger metropolitan areas, my dreams just and aspirations just continued to just expand. I was in this little place thinking big, and then I started going to larger places thinking larger. And
mm,
because the possibility was a front, it was there. I could see it,
yeah,
and I wanted a piece of it. And
yeah,
so the humility I exhibit now in my early 50s around the journey I was really stretching for in my late 20s is crazy. But
mhm,
yeah, that's what happened in terms of me connecting to entrepreneurship. The actual entrepreneurship story goes like this. I'm taking a shower after a run. I'm in the shower doing what I normally do, and I caught myself saying a prayer, and I said something like this: Lord, give me the strength to get through the day.
mm,
Could not believe and I finally heard myself. I've been saying that for a long time, apparently. Okay. And I was like, wait a minute, what do I need? Wait a minute, I'm a healthy guy. What am I talking about? I'm in my 20s, late 20s. And that was when I was like, got out of the shower, went down the hall to my bedroom. I was co-officing in my bedroom at the time, a two-bedroom. And I made a call to my regional director. He happened to be in Chicago that day. And I was like, hey, Clayton, I need to talk to you. And he's what? I said, I'm going to hand in my resignation today. And he said, who got you? Like, who did you sign on with? And I was like, nobody, it's me. And I said, we'll talk about it. And I did that without anything more than the notion that I felt like I had found a partner that wasn't afraid to go after it. That's all. And I
mm,
thought I had money at that time. I was like, I'll be okay. I got money. And boy, do I have some stories about everything from financing early stage business to sustaining through several downturns. Okay. Because,
mm,
what reinvention looks like in the process of you actually understanding how to retain and remain relevant, so to speak. Minority business inclusion as a whole, and that whole cycle of things that happen there and where things are even today around that. So, man, I have really been blessed to see so much, man, so much in relation to the process of engagement around
yeah,
business itself. And as a minority business entrepreneur, my goal was to give back to the community through social capital.
love
Literally
that.
be available, literally find people that would find me the type of leader that they want to glean and learn from, and then stage the prophecy of them actually ultimately outthinking and outperforming me and buying me out of my businesses. That's always been my goal.
I love that. It sounds like you've always had the bug inside of you, the entrepreneurial itch, so to speak. And I love that story of you calling your employer at the time and said, "Hey, I'm handing in my resignation." Because to me, that's a lesson in following your intuition, following your
Wow.
gut,
Wow.
following the little nudges that God, the universe, whatever you believe in, gives you.
Yes.
So let's fast forward to today, because I know before we started, we were talking about you have several different ventures that you're working on right now. So give the listeners briefly a little bit of an introduction into Travis's world currently in 2025. And then from there, we can dive into what's your main focus.
Yeah, no doubt. So as I thank you again. That's a perfect pivot for what I just finished saying. So my goal was to get more connected to the gift of vision, right?
Mm,
Because that's what I realized as I was going through this process and going through the ups and downs. It's like, yeah, you do have some hard skills, some hard traits, some actual evidentiary skills, so to speak. But then there are things that are innate to you, and
mm,
in that you want to be able to purpose those things. And so for me, as we went through our unique downturns and our upswings, because we made fortune, was that the fastest 5,000 fastest growing companies? We made that four different times. So we did it pre and post economic downturn. We've seen quite a bit. Today the market has changed and it's shifting so fast. And so about 3.5 years ago, I really started to pivot my work into purposing what I knew. So being able to retain knowledge capital, but also be able to automate and generate business without having to do all of the heavy lifting.
Mm.
So open source AI comes out, and it's like the thing that I've been waiting on came at a unique time, right? And I was like, oh my God, this is the thing that's going to help people understand what I've been saying because I sound like an alien to most people, right?
Yeah.
And so gradually, what I've broken my life experiences down to are functional businesses and business lines that can have outside contribution from early stage work leaders all the way into more senior individuals. Okay. And so today I am launching what is the equivalent to four platforms. Three of them are it will be fully integrated. And they're all purposed around the things that I really wanted to do initially, which was create opportunity for other people, particularly people who have largely been marginalized,
Yeah.
but not exclusive to that. But
Yeah.
our growing majority makes up this huge, unique melting pot, individuals with backgrounds and quite frankly, paradigms that are not necessarily included in these larger scale businesses. The
Yeah.
second thing I wanted to do beyond create the opportunities and exposure was to align with people that wanted to take business and opportunities and vision to a level that had not been seen. So we want to try to do things, quite frankly, that are currently not in the marketplace to solve business challenges as well as social and community challenges all alike. And so for me, I've had to do that within the framework of business experiences that I've had, along with interests that'll be coming later. So the business experience I've had, as you've already stated, has been more around human capital. It has
Yeah.
been around change management and organizational development. It has been around logistics and finance and stuff like that. And so these businesses, one that I didn't talk about is in leading all of these efforts, that is, I've created sales training that got bought back years ago or what have you. And so we'll talk about some of these businesses here in a second. But the way I work today, in concert with building these, are making sure that we have the proof of concepts built into it. So we use both Gen AI and agentic AI to do
Right.
two things: to create what we consider to be comparable and competitive workflows,
Mm.
and the agentic AI side would be to sustain the modeling for us to be able to scale while we become more future proof and leverage the intellectual property that we're bringing in and the intellectual capital that we recruit to make our systems better versus trying to have people working so hard on the systems. That's
Mm.
our goal. Okay. And VisMay.ai is the first one up. VisMay is exactly what you think it is. It is visual resume coming to you, literally. We will
Mhm.
literally, you will be able to go to the app and interface and upload and or record live categorical events that are happening. And simultaneously, there will be a physical resume being generated based off of what you decide to keep,
Cool.
and you will have a storyline that is more representative of who you are and what you can and are able to do. And
Mm.
we've already built in the cadence of understanding how search happens, which is keyword search. So we know how ATS models work, applicant tracking systems, and all. So our business, this was built to address that even in voice and even in video. So video has phrasing. Voice has phrasing as much as text has phrasing. So you won't get lost in the shuffle. You'll actually probably rise to the tide because now people were seeing you versus looking for a piece of paper. And this is a lot more fluid and it's largely geared toward the current Gen Z market. And we know Gen Alpha will put that in their hands much sooner. So these people will be coming out of high school with this type of a tool, similar
Yeah.
to their Instagram accounts and their Snap accounts. This is exactly what this will be able to do. And so one of the key features that allows them to even integrate on the platform and create a profile is an elevator pitch. So we really teach them how to elevator pitch about themselves in 20 seconds,
Yeah.
literally. And it'll largely catch on to everybody, but VisMay.ai is the first launch coming in the next 6 days.
Awesome.
You'll see that. And again, that's me putting my past in purpose for people in the future, right?
Yep.
Literally. The interworkings of the size of that business, believe it or not, is 2.5 people right now.
Yeah,
And to build $1 million plus business, historically, you needed at least nine. You know what I mean? And that was like an effective nine, right?
we
If
don't
not
do that
more.
today.
Right. And then that's not because it's not necessary. It's just that we can repurpose our skills and our intellect. And so instead of us being afraid, we want to lean in. So we're partnering with higher ed institutions. We're partnering with community organizations, right? So people that are already out there hurting the underserved and the people who are high potential in life, regardless, right? It's everybody in between, trade skills. It really doesn't
Yeah,
matter. We want you to have your visual resume, the visual representation of who you are at a moment's notice to the degree that you care to share it. You can edit it down to what you want it to be, ready and available.
yeah, that's
So that
super,
that is
super
the
interesting.
first, that's the first, and
Yeah,
that's a lot to talk about, obviously, right
yeah,
there.
yeah. That's a lot for sure. So by the time this comes out, it will have already launched since it's launching in the next 6 days. So is that like a subsidiary of Ascendant?
Yes, in context, it isn't,
I got
but in structure, yes. So Ascendant essentially serves as the brain trust of my professional journey that allows me to step into these other categories. So that's why Ascendant does have, in certain structures, minority equity interest, and others a more majority position, and that one less. But it is, yes. I think that you asked the right question. The umbrella entities, without going deep into the legal part of it, yes, the Ascendant is a part of the umbrella
it.
entities, not
Got it.
so much the actual functioning entity that is marketed in many cases.
So when you think about your future, let's say over the next 1 to 2 years, and what your main focus is, what companies you're really looking to scale, is that Ascendant? Is that VisMay? Is that launching the other two platforms? Because you mentioned three platforms.
Great question. So I would say VisMay is going to take a life of its own. I'm just putting it out there. We feel really confident about what that's going to be without, which is it's organically, it's just going to take a life of its own. Okay. Our job is to put it in the hands of the people that need it most, right?
Got
That's it. Yes, I'll spend a lot of time because of how fast that business is projected to grow. That so then over the
it.
next 18 months, not necessarily buried there, but you can see why the second entity, which is more of the community part of where a deeper set of recruiting, a deeper set of communications happens, which is Workforce 21, much larger, broader context in terms of what is integrated with VisMay, right?
Yeah.
So instead of going to Discord, a community group, you go to a Workforce 21 community group at VisMay.
Mhm.
You get what I'm saying? And the
Yeah.
and the social feed will generate from Workforce 21. Okay.
Got it.
There,
So,
there's like a bunch of composite things like different ratings and things like that go into that for career stuff, some career guidance. There's a lot of composite data that goes in there that's going to basically help generate everything from career paths to suggestions. We have 11 archetypes built into VisMay. So when you walk in, you can tell us who you think you are, right?
yeah,
Versus the other. And they're aligned with what we consider to be the 25 in-demand industries over the next 5 to 7 years. So we're not really trying to wait and try to steer young people into the wrong careers too late. We want to
I
expose them
see.
as early as we can, trying to
Yeah.
align both interests and proficiency. So what are you good at?
Hmm.
And then your interests kind of being
Yeah.
built into that as well.
Got it.
So the Workforce 21 is in somewhat of a tandem there. Where Ascendant plays a role is on the automation side of the recruitment engine that supports VisMay. And that is basically we're creating what we're calling human recruiting there, agent
Mhm.
human recruiting there. So we are testing a lot of our models that we will actually lease out and or build out to any industry if they are looking for more meaningful ways. Faster, I would not say that. I would say more qualified, high touch, low touch communications, and what we consider to be skills pooling would happen through Ascendant's agentic
Got it.
AI modernized. So that's Ascendant in a more modern
Yeah.
context.
Cool. Who would you say is your ideal customer? So it sounds like staffing, recruiting, you can help people
Oh
get
yeah.
essentially. Is there any specific industries that you focus on or types of organizations with Ascendant? And walk me through that.
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So historically, the way we've grown Ascendant, and that's going to, obviously changing because of what I'm sharing with you. We basically grew as a partner slash subcontract JV partner on many of the larger federal government contracts as a small business 8A designated entity. That's when you want to ask, like, how did you guys grow? How were you able to get the scale to 5 and then to 10 million or whatever? That's really what we were doing. So our partners were also our clients. So an Accenture, we'll just use them as an example. We were partnered with them for 11 years, Aon. And so these are companies that already had some human capital offering, and we offset or augmented some of their talent and skills based off of two things: just the gap in the bench and or the deficit in the in-demand skill. And in many cases, it was because they were serving a larger entity like the federal government, and there was a requirement to bring certain amount of small business partners or diverse-owned business partners to the table.
Yep.
Having those type of close-knit relationships allowed us to do that as well as prime our own targeted stuff. Now,
Mhm.
our clients did start off, like I said, is the larger they were, the more likely you found us there, right? So federal government, these large blue chip consultancies were our larger intent. Today, because of the size of businesses and where things are going and where we're scaling the need to be, our customer is probably going to be a mid-sized to smaller business, one that has sustained needs around talent and information around how to manage that talent, one that is always evolving itself and trying to figure out where I'm going to find that group. And so Workforce 21 will grow into a competitor of the likes of Indeed and stuff like that, ultimately, because we will actually have real live talent sourced, ready to go, that we're actually cultivating and training simultaneously through our partnerships.
Very
So
cool.
there's going to be quite a bit of action there.
Yeah.
And so Ascendant will be supporting, again, most of the modernized agentic side of the recruitment cycle. The engine itself is already pre-built now, and we're just now servicing it to be in a place where we can make sure that it does exactly what we need to do in these circumstances. So it's situational, that it arises to what we want it to be. And so
Yeah.
Ascendant will still have that. That's our customer, but obviously our profile client is changing. For VisMay, our clients are pretty clear. It is the end user who is being introduced to the potential of college, a trade, or whatever by 16. That we want them to
Yeah.
have resume. If they have it by the time they walk into their junior year, we're great. The other stakeholder groups that includes are colleges and universities, clearly, trade schools or institutions, anything that we would consider to be institutional led, where there you can have any type of information and or a curriculum administered. And then the third stakeholder group is obviously the corporations slash recruiter group that is still always trying to find the best and the brightest. And
Yeah.
so while we don't want to necessarily be, oh, you guys are the new unique place where we can see who we're dealing with, because we believe profiling happens anyway. We just like you to see from a plentiful standpoint just how cool the world is whenever
Yeah.
you take the gloves off and then you're more exposed to the different faces and types of people. It tends to lower the bias, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And so that's the goal, is to eliminate the bias in selection, quite frankly, so
Yeah.
that people of all types and backgrounds have an opportunity to participate in the larger ecosystem that we call work and job and creation.
Awesome.
Ultimately, I see entrepreneurs coming out of our Workforce 21
Yeah. There
platform.
you go. What do you feel like is the biggest bottleneck or challenge that you're facing right now? What do you feel like you need the most help?
Man, it's always you at early stage, and then with tech, it's always a finance versus equity game. So I think battling through that, and I feel like we've been able to sustain that, man. I really do. I really do. And to get where we've gotten, and I've really largely done that through a friends and family network and myself, literally, like in terms of our funding strategy. We know we can't stay there, but we don't. Why give away the farm when you don't have to?
Yeah.
And I'm old school in this context. I really believe that the business should be set up to generate revenue versus be out here raising money on the hope that it can.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
that's been the larger hurdle. And then the two things that are most critical to this business once it's built are two of my pronounced weaknesses professionally. And when I say weaknesses, these are not my core strengths. It's both tech and marketing, quite
Mm,
frankly. And I don't correlate sales and marketing. I know how to set it up, close it, move it. But
mhm.
marketing is, I think that's ingenuity of marketing. And then where the thing is today is completely way outside of my wheelhouse. I've had to learn a lot. I've had to do a lot of learning. So those would be my two challenges. And what I would say to anyone who finds themselves right there at the intersection of the possibility, which is your vision, and then the impediment, which is the thing that you probably don't feel as strongly about, is this: go. Like straight up go. Do not step back, step forward, step twice whenever you think you should step once.
Mm,
The imposter syndrome is a real thing, even for people like myself who have done it and have made it and lost it and made it again and lost it and made it again. I've done everything that you can do in entrepreneurship that we didn't talk about today. And all I would say to encourage a listener, particularly someone who really sees themselves making a difference, is go do it. And someone like me or someone that's been there like myself, or even another you, will find you because you're taking steps towards your goal. So
I
do
like
that. And I think those two things that I share with you around marketing and tech have begun to take care of themselves because I just was unafraid. Now, I'm not saying it was like that every day, but there have been days. I've gone through some days. But
yeah,
generally speaking, those were my holdback. Those are the things that had me slower to move. I'm just being completely
yeah,
transparent
yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I
Than
appreciate that.
moving at 75 miles per hour when I knew I had it, that would have me slow up for a speed zone that wasn't there in life.
That was actually going to be my next question is what tip would you give to new entrepreneurs starting in 2025? But you just gave a great one right there. Is there anything that you would add to that?
Yeah, I would say spend your time learning through at least two large language models. Learn all you can about artificial intelligence. It doesn't define you, okay? But it will help you understand the language of what is becoming today, not tomorrow. I'm just being completely honest. Do not be afraid. Get in there and try to do anything that you can. As we open up Workforce 21, we will be providing some of the early stage training around AI from a user standpoint. We just think it's just paramount. But yeah, I would say the greatest thing someone could do is spend 30 to 45 minutes per day using some large language model and literally asking yourself to figure out what you want it to do. Quick tip there, if you get into prompting, is remember this is not search engine, this is ask engine. So this
Mm,
is not Google. This is ask. Ask and you shall receive is the best way I try to tell my children. So
I like
go into large language model and AI learning expectant. Expect something because I had 12 developers tell me that what we have right now couldn't happen.
I like that. And you just push through.
But I'm gonna tell if I'll give you the sauce right here. I got clarity on my vision. The more clear your vision is, the more AI can help you. And
Mm,
it got more and more refined. Man, I'm an open book on this stuff. I'd love to share anything I can with anybody. If you need to invite me back and we do a follow up on this, I can do it. But yeah,
yeah,
that would be my 2 cents on that on the dollar in terms of what to do.
I love that so much. What's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, I think that's a great way. I think that, man, I can't believe I'm going to go this way, but why not? Hit me on my LinkedIn account first, and then look for my resume as well. That will be a part of my LinkedIn profile. Hello, we are working through that process right now.
Mm.
And it's a great way to reach me. Travis M. Powers on LinkedIn. Definitely look me up. I should be the only one out there. No, I'm not, but I'm one of seven, I believe, Travis M. Powers. But I'm definitely the only one in Chicago. So to have them look me up, and I'm about 24 hours out from responding on that typically, but I will respond.
Awesome. Travis, thank you so much for your time today. I would definitely love to have you back on.
Anytime.
Unfortunately, we have a limited time today, but this was enjoyable. I wrote down a bunch of the things that you said, and yeah, I'm going to spend at least an hour a day learning
Do
AI.
it. Do it. And listen, let's circle back in and talk about how you evolved in 90 days. Okay,
Yeah,
let's do
I
it.
would love that.
And I'd love to invite you to some of our launch stuff as we go, if you don't mind.
I would love that. Please keep me posted.
Yeah,
Put
you
on my
guys are on
LinkedIn.
it.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
on it. And I'm going to share this with my network. You guys know if I share something with you, you better listen to me. So here we go.
Yeah,
Founders Future. This is an awesome podcast. I'm going to go ahead and shout you out right now. Thank you all for your time and the support.
you are the man. So that wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to connect with Travis on LinkedIn. Go check out Ascendant. Go check out VisMay. Stay on top of the things that he's coming out with because he's truly game changing. And if you're a business owner and you're looking to scale your business and really enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.